I don't know if this is going to work because this red light is, it's just non-stop. Something seems wrong with this. Let me see, is it live? Is it working? Looks like it's doing concurrent viewers. No one. Awesome. Let's see here. Awesome. Okay. Let's see if anyone is here. Okay, I don't know if anybody can hear me. I'm going to give people a minute to get here. I just randomly decided to do a stream because I had no time to record this week again. And we're going to start shortly here. So hang tight while I grab something to drink for this stream. And I just shared it on Twitter and Facebook and Pinterest. I don't know. I try all branches, even Pinterest. Sometimes that grabs an audience too. I don't know. That you're the second person that said that to me today, and I had to work today, so I don't really know. Let me Google this. We've had something break near us before, but not. I'm mildly confused. Dam broke in Michigan. That's a Michigan dam failure drained a lake. I don't know what lake is this. I'm looking at Tittabawassee River. It says the Tittabawassee River, so it's not telling me what lake. Michigan Department. And now I can hear ads on. I don't know what I'm hearing ads on. That's confusing. Timothy Wenzel. I'm confused. I'm hearing music coming from somewhere. Oh, must be this ad. Why is it not telling me Wixom Lake? Okay, no. That's not near me, but holy crap. It drained the lake. Yikes. Yeah, no, that's not by me. Hey, give me a second to grab something to drink. I just noticed that my pop filter isn't on my microphone. I don't know where it went. Oh, I can see it. Okay. Hey, can you guys give me like 2 minutes to grab something to drink? Or I'm going to run out of voice. I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourself. I'll give you a topic. Apparently a dam broke and it drained a lake. I'll be right back. And put on my pop filter since I just saw it had fallen off. There we go. Not that it matters. You're still going to hear me go pop, pop, pop. Okay, give me just a second here. Oh my goodness. I grabbed my drink. Should I say it like this? Just kidding. Got me a glass of Tullamore Dew and a Guinness. I've got cran grape juice about halfway into one of those stemless wine glasses with a shot and a half of vodka in it. My back is killing me from work, and I'm literally grasping at straws to make it hurt. And I thought, you know, it would really distract me reading stories to people. Not talking about the blue people. Yeah, somebody else. Hey, Gling. Oh, let me say hi, Element. Hey, Gling, Ronnie, Smoky Mountain Reads, Mandy. Hey, you don't have to work either. That's awesome. I just decided to randomly stream because I ran out of time to record anything, and I don't have to work tomorrow, so I figured I could have some extra time to do this. If y'all been watching Avatar, let's hope it's not like the last time. No, my husband already fell asleep. So he will not be joining us this evening. The only vodka that's good for me is Belvedere. Yeah, I don't know anything connoisseur about stuff. I don't know any fancy terms for anything. I know nothing. I did, however, join a wine club so I could get 6 bottles of wine at a discount. Still don't know a damn thing about wine, but I do have a wine rack now on my kitchen wall. 2 of those bottles are now empty. Wait, you can't go back to work for a while now? Did someone get sick? Oh no, I hope not. My stepdad is still slowly recovering, but every time someone says like they think it's a hoax or whatever, it like grinds my last nerve because, you know, I guess it's gonna take people having someone that they know gets sick, but I don't wanna dwell on it too much. But did you say somebody did get sick there, Mandy? I mean, I just saw the video today of where they're gonna lock China back down because they had another outbreak, and we haven't done anything like that here, not even close. Have you tried wine by the glass from the Shark Tank? You mean the Shark Tank? Yes, someone tested positive. Oh no. So what does that mean? If they say that you guys can't go back there, Mandy, do they at least give you some sort of compensation? Do you get unemployment? Like, I just assumed, stupidly of course, that because Michigan was getting that 600 extra per week, that other states where you couldn't go to work because of COVID, that you would get it too, but I guess not. And I want to know more about the wine by the glass element. I'm going to have to look into that. Sometimes I like wine, sometimes I don't. Like some of the wine that they sent, because they're cheaper because they're brand new wine companies, but kind of they all kind of taste like nah. There was like one that was okay. But again, I'm only I think I've opened the third bottle, but that was so I could let my neighbor taste it cuz I told her that I ordered it, but whatever. This is different than when we couldn't go back before. What do you mean? Does this mean that you will get unemployment or you won't? I mean, I hope you have some kind of compensation. They are shutting the whole restaurant down and having a biohazard crew come clean it all. You know what's crazy is, so the biohazard team comes and cleans it. I mean, it's the same theory with glitter all over again. Like, there's just no way to get it all off. Like, you'd literally have to go in there with a fire hose and spray it off and have no one else go in it. Because once anyone gets it on even their biohazard suit and goes outside with it on, it's going to have the possibility to touch all the other biohazard suits and then possibly get on all the people. Like, it's a never ending chain of events. And where I work, they're talking about increasing the hours. In fact, May 31st, they're going to increase hours, and our number continues to climb. The logic is absent. Let's see. My son's wife's job place had an outbreak, and she had paid time off. She ended up catching the virus too. Oh no. How is she doing? We're not going to focus on COVID the whole time, but let's get it out there because it's a real thing that's affecting real people. And we talk about everything here. Squirrels, shiny things, corona, beers. Just kidding. Hey, Paul. If I miss saying hi to anybody, I'm sorry. Because I think I've only said hi to like 5 people, but apparently 11 people are watching. So, hey, hello, whoever's not talking to us. I know there's some people that come and watch and they don't talk. Because that's really not their thing. They just want to hear. So maybe I should apologize in advance for the chatty Cathy I feel like I am. Squirrels. She's over at Head of Very much. Oh, thank God. Thank goodness. An older lady that I work with, one of her friends passed away from it, and she was 56. 56. She was very, very upset. Obviously, she was very upset, but she didn't go into great detail about it because I don't think that she knew that her friend was sick. Some of them, like, I think it goes again, too. If you don't know that you have an immunodeficiency, because some people don't, it's not always obvious. Unless you've had an illness or something that indicates that you have an immunodeficiency, sometimes it's not always obvious. So something like this can take you down with very little effort. We think my son had it too. Very mild case, thank goodness. Yeah. I think the longer and more often people are exposed to it, the more extreme the case is. But, you know, what do I know? Krista Kane. Oh, hello. Is it? I don't have my headphones on, so I hope I'm talking close enough to the microphone. I just got out of the bath. I'm home from work, brushing my hair. Sorry if you can ASMR brushing your hair. Can you hear me brushing my hair into the microphone? Like, I don't know how sensitive it is. Yeah, I'm glad everything's okay. And if anyone's listening and you're sick, I'm very sorry that you're sick. And if you're an essential worker who people aren't appreciating you, I appreciate you. Um, someone told me today they really, really appreciate me, which set off a chain of events of like 4 people, but then it ended right there. Like, it's pretty rare that anybody says something like that. But you're so stressed out from being like potentially exposed to it for so long that it's kind of like, thanks, but please go home so I can go home. You know? I don't know. Do some unintelligible whispering. You want me to just talk like this so you can barely hear me? Is that better? I'm glad I get to sleep tomorrow. Me too. Hey! Because it's my day off, but... Aw. Just got out of the bubble bath. Tried to get the bubble bath going, but there was barely any bubbles left. I had to use 2 different kinds. Mainly, I got in the bath to make my back stop throbbing because I don't want to like sound complainy, but if you don't know, I have a herniated disc at C5, which is where your neck meets your back, and I have partial, I don't want to say paralysis, but if you could draw a line from like the middle of my middle finger all the way up the inside and outside of my left arm, I don't have 100% feeling there. And I get a lot of Charlie horses there, and sometimes I will grab onto something extra tight or too loose, and I drop things a lot. And awesome fact, I also am. I have 2 different contacts in. One's for reading, one's for distance. My distance one fell out in the shower like 2 weeks ago, and it has thrown off my depth perception, so I have bruises all over my arms and legs and hands from banging into stuff for like a week and a half. So, perfection. Hey, immunity. Hey. Give you Duchess Dark. Number 6, brought to you by Tampax and Jelly Belly. That reminds me, I was going to look for sugar-free jelly beans, and I totally forgot. Not that we talked about that, but I was talking to never mind. Anyways. I was joking that you said you just got out of the bath, so I said the bubble No, I was trying to make it bubbly, but I didn't have enough stuff to make it bubbly. It was not enough thought put into the bath, I guess. Oh my god, I can't remember what the Patty's comment was now. Well, Mandy, I hope that you didn't get it, though. I mean, since the place is shut down, I hope that means that you're like kind of safe from it. I don't know. Now, don't you guys all have to get tested now? I mean, ideally, you'd want to get tested, unless they already did it. And you guys, tell me how many of you have rapid testing near you. Like, we can go to a after-hours clinic and get rapid testing, but it's still not free. And I'm curious as to how many of you have it available to you. Like, is it a realistic thing for you to be able to go and get a rapid COVID test and know if you have it? Because without people telling other people, there's no way to know, because you can't trust the news, obviously. They're clueless. Oh, no. People order our patties. So there are tons of places for testing around here. And where are you, Smoky Mountain Reeds? I don't want to assume you're near the Smoky Mountains, but it does make sense. People order our patties. Oh yeah, wasn't that a SpongeBob reference? So cranny, so grapey, so slightly vodka-y. It almost tastes like watered down cough syrup. Do not start with any 6 stories like number 6. I honestly can't remember number 6. There was a lot of disgusting ones. A lot of them, and you guys all know that. They were gross. Nasty. The name kind of gives it away. Oh, yeah. My aunt lives in Tennessee. She lives in Hohenwald. if you know where that's at. It's about, I think it's 45 minutes from Spring Hill. We have free testing in Osceola, in Orange County, in Central Florida. Oh, good. Don't know why I can't stop laughing over that. I literally cannot remember what number 6 was. But you will be happy to know that I've pulled up more medical stories, but they're haunted nurse stories. They're not disgusting medical stories. So far I didn't get anything like that in there. Hey, Henry Vang. Hi. Don't know why I can't stop laughing at that. Oh, yeah. Okay. You know, I was going to do for last Saturday, I wanted to do 12 urban legends. And I was going through the pictures, and I was going to try and find time this morning to do that, but I ran out of time. Here in my part of Florida, you can go get tested easily now, and they'll make it free if you can't pay. Yeah, I don't think it should cost anybody a dime to get tested so that we can get it under control. It's ridiculous. Yes. Yes, they were. They were beyond gross. They were traumatizing. It's like a nightmare version of Hoarders meets medical stories. And boom, that was last live stream stories. Yeah. Yikes. Number 6 is the fish fillet meal, I believe. What? Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Remember we were trying to figure out? I totally forgot about that. And we actually went by at McDonald's the next day. And I'm like, oh, we got to pull into McDonald's so I can see what the number 6 is there. But I don't remember what number 6 was the reference from. The fishy smell in that story. Do you smell that smell? It's a kind of smelly smell. It's a kind of smelly smell that smells smelly. That's one of my favorite SpongeBob things, but I have about 100 of them. For sure, yikes, yeah. I like gore stories, not sick throw-up stories. I don't even like gore stories. I want a good, freaking terrifying ghost story. It's pretty rare. It really is. Like someone's like, the door closed and I don't know why it was closing. And then that's the end of the story. Like, come on. Tell me a story how the ghost ripped a piece of your hair out and stuck it to the wall and then wrote something in ghost blood like, you're next. Like, come on. That's scary. Can you imagine that? That would scare the shit out of me. And I probably just demonetized myself. Oh, well. Wah, wah. You guys still here? Sometimes the chat is how I know that people are still here. So thank you guys for constantly talking to me in the chat, or I would just feel like I'm just talking to the microphone and feel like I'm completely insane. I told you I want to be scared one time where I'm sitting in the corner shaking, rocking back and forth, saying it'll all be okay. That kind of scared. There is a story on Fright Night's channel, and he did it really, really early on. And it's supposedly a true story about someone who was kidnapped because of the dark web. Obviously, those are supposed to be assumed to be true. And that story, it was about I think it was a guy, and the horrible things were done to him. That one scared me. But I think the one person who scares me a lot is the unit, and I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's the tone of the voice or the stories he picks. It might be the tone of his voice because it's more authoritarian. Authoritarian? Does that sound correct? His voice is more authoritarian, and that to me adds an element to the story that makes it scarier. Like B Busta puts me to sleep. It doesn't matter what the story is. His voice just makes me go to sleep. And that's not an insult. It just relaxes me. And Anybody else that's younger, I have a hard time feeling scared by their voice, if that makes sense. I have colon issues, so this happens a lot. Oh, I'm very sorry. I don't think my voice can help your tummy, but maybe it'll like distract you. I wumbo, you wumbo, he, she, wumbo. Patrick. Come on, SpongeBob. It's first grade. Has anybody watched Trailer Park Boys or Letterkenny? We were going through Ricky-isms yesterday, if you know what that means. He, she, wumbo. Is this a Krusty Krab? No, this is Patrick. If I were of more sound mind and more prepared for this live stream, I would have come up with some sort of quiz with like movie quotes you could guess what it's from. But mine would all be like dark comedies, scary movies, or comedies. Rarely do I go through dramas. Like if I see a dramatic movie, I'll watch it one time and I don't want to watch it again. I know that there's others that can relate to that. I don't want to cry or be upset when I watch. Like I'm entertained. I want to be entertained. I want to laugh. Sometimes action, or I want it to be scary. I like the classic cartoons. He's at the corner of Conch and Coral. Wee woo. Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. All the SpongeBob fans are here tonight. He's standing there menacingly. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I haven't seen very many SpongeBobs lately, but good Lord. Chocolate. Floor it. Oh my God. All right. So I think whoever's coming is coming here. I have saved for you. Well, I have a stories master planner that I had like months of stories planned out. And this is one of the ones that I saved was 49 real nurses share the terrifying hospital ghost stories that scared them to death. Now, of course, we'll be the judges of that. But I doubt anyone here is going to be that scared. Squirrel. I don't know if any of these are put yourself together, deputy. Oh my God. The hash slinging. The Nash singing. The old school Looney Tunes. Yep. What was I just thinking? I was just thinking about Flintstones. Something about the Flintstones. Those reruns are still on. Like Cozy TV has a bunch of that stuff on. I like anything that's funny. Family Guy's hilarious. What's another one? Oh my God. All right, this day is getting away. Well, since the real is in the title, then we know for sure. Okay, let me get to this first story here. Is it counted down? Awesome. They're even numbered, so we won't lose track. All right, hold on to your butts. Oh, I also like Bob's Burgers. That's a reference to Bob Burgers. Anyway, number 1 is titled The Vanishing Girl. I was a new nurse at our hospital and had only been working there a couple of months. I had brought a patient of mine up to day surgery from the ER for an endoscopy, and they called back down to ask me to bring her family up because she only spoke Italian and not enough English. And they needed someone to consent for the procedure. After dropping them off, I walked past the waiting room to head back down the hall to the elevators. I took the back way to get to the ER, and the hallways are all deserted. It used to be the pediatric wing of the hospital, but it's all shut down. For years, the rooms are just empty of full broken equipment and beds and miscellaneous junk. As I reached the old nurse's station at the T-junction between the pediatric hallway and the hallway that goes to the elevators, I saw a little girl standing across from the nurse's station further down the hall. She had big pigtails, was wearing a brown dress, white shoes, and holding a teddy bear. I thought perhaps she was a family member who had walked away from the day surgery waiting room. I was concerned she would go into one of the rooms and get hurt or lost, so I said, "Hey, little girl, what are you doing? You don't need to be over here. You're going to get hurt." I walked around the nurse's station to go grab her and bring her back. And I shit you not, she completely vanished. I got about 15 feet away from her. Every hair on my body stood up straight, and I turned and ran like a bat out of hell down to the elevator. I pounded that button for what seemed like an eternity until the elevator got to the floor. As I got back to the ER, I walked up to the nurse's desk, white as a sheet, and one of the older nurses looked at me and said, "Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you?" I remember babbling like an idiot as I tried to tell them what had just happened. After listening to me for a moment or two, the nurse said, "Oh, you saw the little girl ghost. She's been around here for years." And I remember saying, "Well, thanks for telling me about it before." Apparently, the ghost has even been seen down in the ER, ducking in and out of the patient's rooms and peeking around curtains. Yikes. My wife worked up on the 7th floor, and she said that one time on nights, a whole row of patient rooms started yelling about a little girl that was running around in the rooms. I guess she gets around. Ooh, dun dun dun. Let's go. Ronnie, no more screwing around. It's time to get weird. There's a lot of ads on this website. Number 2, the dead, like the dead, are leaving the hospital. I work in intensive care. I work in intensive care. I'm guessing they skipped out on the word in a small community hospital. We have a 9-bed unit that is completely closed off from the medical floor via 2 doorways. 2 nights ago, we were all sitting at our station, charting, when we heard footsteps coming down the hall. It's a completely open unit where you can see every room from everywhere. No one was in the unit with us. CT is below us, and they close at 5, unless an emergency comes in. And we only have people on the 2nd floor. The 3rd is used for storage. No one was above us. It happened 2 or 3 times. Then last night, cupboard doors kept opening and shutting in the 2 empty rooms. I finally asked my coworker what the hell was going on, and she just told me that it usually happens after someone passes away, especially if it was sudden. We had 2 codes last week that we lost, and I guess everyone has had weird stuff happening for a few days. Ooh. I don't know where the hospital is, but I want to go there right now. Raise your hand, metaphorically, of course. If someone said, "This house is for sale," it's like practically free, but it's haunted, would you live there? Because I would. She's the true nurse warden, or perhaps she's death. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. A hash slinging. Okay. Number 3. The man with the striped shirt. Not mine, but a fellow nurse of mine. We were talking about patients' hallucinations when he told me about this time he was walking past a patient's room, an elderly woman with dementia, and she was chatting up a storm with someone. He asked her who she was talking to, and the woman replied, "That nice man in the black and white striped shirt." A while later, he went into another patient's room with dementia, and that different patient asked where the man with the white striped shirt had gone. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever been around someone who has full-on set dementia, either in a patient capacity or it's more traumatic if it's someone that's a family member. But if you've ever seen someone sitting there catatonic, then suddenly look at you, stare into your soul, start laughing, and then go back to blank, and then 5 minutes later ask where breakfast is at, it's one of the most terrifying friggin' things ever. And it's creepy because it's in a hospital. Well, the setting I'm talking about, but grew up in a haunted house. Not my choice. Okay, so for kids, it's probably... And I say that with a grain of salt because for some people it probably is a more traumatic experience, like, bad hauntings, like terrifying things happening all the time. But I think there's degrees of hauntings, like doors closing on their own. It's a free house. Close every door you want. I can just open the door. I don't know. Stop following me. Oh my God. Immunity. Okay. I'm going to go to number 4 now. I think it's number 4. Might be number 5. I love that they're numbered. This one's titled, Don't Let Them Take Me. The best I've heard is from a nurse who said that one night she was floated to oncology, floated, like shifted around, at the hospital she used to work at. She was given a patient who was passing away and had been unconscious for several days. At one point during the night, the nurse went into the room and the patient was at the top of the bed and looked at her and said, "Don't let them take me." The nurse was freaked out and asked her who was going to take her. And she said the black thing up there and pointed in the air. And then the patient died within minutes. Holy crap. Now, maybe that story doesn't scare you, Ronnie, but can you imagine being in the room with that lady and that freaking happened? Oh my God. Don't let them take me. Like, obviously, I don't want to scream that into the microphone, but can you imagine, like, hysterical person saying that and then they freaking die? Oh my God. Oh my God. Anyway, number 5, an unexplained black shape. One night I was caring for a dying male patient. He was scared and I spent some time with him, trying to calm and reassure him. Eventually he calmed and I left the bedside and went over to the nurse's station, which was about 15 feet away. As I sat down, I glanced over to him, and there was a black shape standing over the bed, looking down at the patient. I was terrified, and I'm sure it was something evil. Okay. There could have been a lot more detail in that story. If you've ever seen Ghost, maybe it's like those shadowy demons. Yeah, maybe it is just like that. Maybe it is. Yikes. Number 6, in 2 places at once. Okay. I need a sippy. Hold on. Can you hear me? Mouth noises. ASMR. Okay. I used to work in a state institute for developmentally disabled. We were temp relocated to another building for remodeling of our building. Anyway, I'm working one night, second shift. We had a locked Pika unit. I saw one of the residents walking down the hall. Very distinct gait, very distinct yellow t-shirt with a happy face on it. I went into the ward to let the staff know that they had an escapee. This was a serious situation because this particular resident, Larry, would ingest absolutely anything from clothing to pens to belts and even a bird's head. Literally anything. He was also very reluctant to go back to his home ward, hence why I didn't bring him back myself. He needed 2 escorts. When we got back into the hall less than 15 seconds later, Larry was gone. We searched the entire building. Outside, downstairs, all the wards, he was nowhere to be found. This search lasted 10 minutes because I had all the extra staff looking for him. I was just about to call the house supervisor to let her know that we lost someone. When out from the bathroom walks Larry with one of the staff. He had been getting his bath in the bathroom for the last 30 minutes or so. Kind of freaky. I absolutely, without a doubt, saw Larry in the hallway. I never would have short-staffed the wards like I did if I hadn't seen him. Very distinct gait, very distinct look, clothing. I took a lot of razzing that night. They all thought I was crazy. Come to find out the next day, after the story goes around that I am crazy, Larry had an identical twin brother who died in that building 10 years before. Ooh, dun dun dun. That could have been a short movie. You read my mind. I just remember those black things in the movie. Oh, yeah. It's the man in Curious George. God. He had a very distinct yellow hat. Dun dun dun. Number 7 is titled The Grandchild. I don't like how this says we had a black girl, but that's what the story says. I really hate that it's worded that way. Anyway, I don't understand that. Anyway, the girl was about 10 in ICU that was severely injured in a car accident. Lots of brain damage. She didn't die there, but was moved to another facility after weeks and weeks. After that, I know of 3 older African American males in their 50s that, if they were even mildly sedated, would ask about the little girl with the ribbon in her hair who was sitting at the foot of their bed. Okay, so the little girl was African American, and then only men that were African American were asking about her. One guy said, "She asked me how I was doing and then got up and walked away." He was pointing toward the second floor window. He paused. A wide-eyed look came over his face, and then he said, "But I guess she really couldn't have left the room that way, huh?" Personally, I think she was taking care of grandfatherly figures, but jeez. Dun dun dun. And Element's back, I didn't know. Yeah, even though Ghost is an older movie, I highly recommend it. I think it's still relevant. I think that's one they could redo because they could really up the CGI with that. I don't know if I'd want them to redo the actors because Patrick Swayze's in it, but they could really redo the special effects and kind of implement it without redoing the movie, I think. But all right, let's go on to what number are we on? Number 8, The Dark Room. I worked in an ICU where a prisoner convicted of murder died in ICU 1, and nobody would put a patient in their room after that because the air was too heavy and the room was too spooky and dark. It was so bad that the hospital eventually closed down the room and knocked out a wall to make it a separate entrance into the unit because the nurses would refuse to put patients in the room, even if it was the last available bed. They'd triage out a patient before they'd just trust putting a patient in that bed. Wow. Talk about leaving a bad mark on the world. Yikes. It's 30 years old. Holy crap. Number 9, Nurse Betty. I was working in the NICU when we had a threat of a tornado. Some nurses got pulled to a sister hospital in town to assist in the disaster plan. When all was over, one of the nurses returned with this story. She was assisting the nurses in giving some meds before pulling all into the hallways. Every patient she went to said they already had their meds from that nice nurse in the white uniform and hat. She realized after she left that it's been a while since a nurse has worn a hat. That story revealed the urban legend of Nurse Betty. The story goes that she had an affair with a married doctor, became pregnant, and then agreed to allow him to perform an abortion on her on the second floor OR room. She died and he went to jail. She never left the hospital and was seen frequently. The local newspaper would do an article on her every year around Halloween on her sightings. The hospital has since been replaced with college dorms. I wonder if any students have seen her. Dun dun dun. I was talking about you living in a haunted house, but never mind. Oh. Hey, tall guy. Tall 32 guy. No, actually, it's not. And I didn't plan the live stream, so, maybe that's why. Because I didn't plan it, so you made it early. I picked out 49 real nurses share the terrifying hospital ghost stories that scared them to death. And we're only on number 10, so you're good. Yeah. Boom. You hit early. You only get me tonight. Sorry. I won't be as hilarious as my counterpart, I guess. It's already sleeping. Take a sip. Okay, my computer must have been screwed up. I can hardly hear a thing. Oh, I'm sorry. Is this better? ASMR. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me okay? I guess I wasn't very close to the microphone. Plus, I don't want to, I feel like I'm really nasally today, so I feel like the closer I get to the microphone, the more I sound like this. What story topic? We are reading 49 real nurses share the terrifying hospital ghost stories that scared them to death. And we're on number 10. And death is debatable. Debatable. I said debatable with a V instead of the B. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my God. All right. Number 10 is called Rocking Mary. Is this better? Am I close enough? Is this close enough? Should I whisper the stories or just speak them regularly? Literally, my lips are pressed against the pop filter. Okay. Everyone can hear me then? My face is literally pressed against the microphone. We don't want to read that way, do we? Okay. Rocking Mary. Let's see if my voice holds out for this whole thing. The story of Rocking Mary. Oh, that was weird. Wait. Okay, can anyone hear me better? I just noticed that I had my video feed on because I just put my headphones on. So, Satan, hey. Okay, good. It helps if I put the headphones on, then I can tell if the microphone can hear me. I just didn't want to put them on. So, okay. All right. We closed room 12 in our MICU because just about every patient that has been there since Mary died complains of seeing a woman wearing a white... Oh my gosh, they misspelled a lot of this, but I'm just going to power through. Okay, we closed room 12 in our MICU because just about every patient that has been there since Mary died complains of seeing a woman wearing a white habit rocking back and forth by their bedside. Apparently, this nun never makes eye contact. She just stares out the window, which happens to be on the patient's left side over their head. This window overlooks the hospital cemetery where the nuns that have died were buried. Mary was a nun that died of a car accident outside the hospital in the 50s. She was only 30 years old, and all patients describe her as a young woman. We all thought it was the Sun Down syndrome. Since then, room 12 became our storage room, where no one goes in by themselves unless it is absolutely critical. I think it would be more terrifying personally if the nun sitting there rocked back and forth staring directly at you. Like, that would be friggin' terrifying. Not if they're staring out the window. No. I hate that there's a delay because then there's like no immediate response to what I'm saying, and then it's going to come after I click off and start reading the next story, and then I can't see the responses until afterwards. Number 11 is called The Lingering Spirit. We had a patient, chronic CHFer, always on the call button. Hated being on fluid restrictions. You know the type. The nurses have to take turns during the shift answering the call button so the primary can actually do other work. And this was a frequent flyer because she was very chronic, very borderline, and the hospital was the only place he wouldn't fluid overload. I work a 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. He died at 8 p.m. The look on his face. Like, how could you let me die? Like it was all our fault. Family came and gone by 9 p.m. Funeral home, gone at 9:30. 10 p.m. The call button starts going off. I was there. Call button going off every 5 minutes. One of the nurses was a very spiritual girl. At about 2 a.m., after 4 hours of this, Nurse Mary snaps and says, "Enough!" She walks down to the room and practically screams into the empty room. "You have died. You can't be in here bothering us anymore. Move along in the name of Jesus. I'm exorcising you from this place of existence. Go to the light and be happy." And I kid you not, the call button stopped going off then and there. The only thing I can think of when I read that was like the little scene from Poltergeist when the tiny woman is going to the light, Caroline. I don't know if anybody's seen that. This is number 12, The Lonely Ghost. Not a spooky story, but a lonely ghost. One of the rooms, if it was being used regularly, fine, no problems. But since it was room at the end of the hall, it was used for storage most of the time. If a couple of weeks went by and there were no patients in the room, the call light would start going off 4 or 5 times a shift. But if you went into the room and turned on the TV, the call light wouldn't go off anymore. So needless to say, when the room was being used for storage, the TV was always on, with the volume down very low. Yikes. Go into the light, Caroline. That is wrong. Why would she do that? I do declare. What is that from? There's like a movie or show. I do declare. Oh, The Office, when they played that game, because they thought they were going to shut down their branch. So Michael wanted to play, I do believe there's been a murder. And they all have horrible southern accents the whole time. And he keeps saying, I do declare, when he doesn't need to keep saying it. But he keeps saying it anyway. Number 13, The Old Nun. Like most very old hospitals, at one time our hospital was run by nuns. One particular unit had been converted into a sleep study lab area for outpatient tests. One shift in the middle of the night, I was watching the video monitor and 5 patients simultaneously began removing their monitoring equipment. I went into the first room to ask what was going on, and the patient said that the old nurse with the cap told her the study was over and that she could leave. And all the patients reported the same story. Dun dun dun. Shoot. Trying to go down there. There we go. I check the chat in between each one. I do declare. It is, but it was from The Office when they did that. They played that one game while they were waiting to find out if their branch was going to close. I don't know if you watched The Office or not, but there's been a lot of murder and a lot of intrigue, I do declare. Number 14. It was identical. I have, take a sip here. I work on a coronary unit with mostly post-heart attack patients. I have a bubble in my throat. Trying not to do it into the microphone. It's not a burp, it's just like you ever get just like a bubble trapped in your throat after you take a drink of something? Anyway, I work on a coronary unit with mostly post-heart attack patients. My charge nurse told us the story. Not sure if she's just messing with us, but she sounded serious. So our unit was empty. We consolidated our last couple patients into the ICU because we had low PT census. My charge nurse was over in CCU at the nurse's station doing something on the computer. All of our rooms were empty. She heard a bedside monitor alarming, so she went into the room where the noise was coming from. And there was an EKG strip coming out of the bedside printer, which we never use. And it was a long, continuing strip of clear VTAC. She said she had just coded someone there the week before who had been in VT. Creepy as hell. Okay. Maybe nurses, when you're writing in stories, don't abbreviate everything because everybody doesn't know what you're talking about, even anybody that's got a background in some of this stuff. Hey cats, hey, random stream here. Yes, Skylar O'Hara says it's read or read or whatever his name is. Yeah. Hey, Gregory, hello. It's on my phone, laying in bed, complete darkness. Yeah. So close yet so far. In complete darkness, you say. I had a friend that used to drink Sprite Zero. We would play World of Warcraft and use that voice chat. And she got into this thing where she would hold the can close to the mic and pop the top to gloat. Except for my phone, this is lots of fun somehow. Not gloat, but I mean, I got Sprite and you don't. One of my favorite and most torturous commercials is like, it's probably summertime, and I think Coca-Cola always makes that pouring sound of pop or soda. I don't know what everyone else calls it, but I call it pop. Into a cup, and you hear the pour, and then you hear like the bubbles, and like if you're at all thirsty and you hear that, I think it's totally a subliminal thing where you instantly, like, your mouth waters. Would you ever go on your own on any SCP stories? Oh, I've done a couple. Were you ever doing your own take on any? I've done a couple. I don't wonder if it my most frustrating one is when people call all pop Coke, and then I actually don't know what pop they're talking about, or soda, or whatever you call it. All right, number 15. There are places in the hospital that people refuse to go alone. I do interfacility transfers as an EMT, so I get to see all the skilled facilities and hospitals in the state. 2 places give me the hair raising, just bad negative juju creeps. An abandoned school of the feeble-minded, and the state's prison mental health facility that used to be a huge tuberculosis ward when there were massive outbreaks back in the day. The 3rd creepy place is the old birthing hospital that got turned into a long-term care facility. The top floor is mostly padlocked off. Jokingly, I asked a nurse on the elevator if the building was haunted, and she matter-of-factly said, yes. Little kids' shapes on the top floor, and residents report older women in dresses. She said there were areas of the building she refused to go without another person. I wonder what, like, you know, that inner fear where people say, like, the hair stands up on your neck and your arms. What is the real root of that fear? Like, what do people think will happen? Or is it just that inner knowing that it's something outside of what you cannot fully comprehend? And that's why people get scared. Because most of the time when people have these experiences, no one gets hurt, no one gets threatened. It's just a creepy feeling, but yet they're friggin' terrified. Oh, what is an SCP? I'm blanking. I know this because I've read a couple of them for I've read a couple for them. It's SCP Foundation, and it's oh my god, why am I blanking on the security copy protocol? No, that's not what it is. Oh, meaning. There we go. I'm blanking. So, special containment procedures. And then there's all these, there's even a website for it where they've got all these things that they have come up with. These things that exist that are super top secret that no one's supposed to know about. So the SCP Foundation, and if you go on there, there's actually a lot of hilarious ones. Those are my favorite. Secure, contain, protect. Oh yeah. Hello, Justin. Every time I hear soda pop, I think instantly of the 1920s. Let's go down to the corner store and get ourselves a soda pop. Yeah. There's actually channels completely dedicated to the SCPs too. The Hanged King's Tragedy is my personal favorite. I'll have to keep that in mind. The Hanged King's Tragedy. I'm going to look that up so I can read it later. The Hanged King's Tragedy. Whoops. Just give me a second. I just want to save that. All right. I will look that up and read that later. Or maybe we will just read it while we're on here. We are on number 16. Wow, this could literally take all night. Never open that door. In the morgue at my hospital, I would always hear knocking coming from inside the freezer. Ugh, it really creeped me out, especially when the pathologist looked up, grabbed me by the shoulders, stared me right in the eye and said, "You hear that? You never open that door when they're knocking. Never." It turned out to be loose pipes. He thought it was hilarious that I didn't sleep that night. That's hilarious. Oh my god. That's awesome. That is awesome. What a jerk, but that's so fucking funny. Oh my god. Oh no. Okay. I didn't expect a funny one. They either usually aren't scary or they just kind of suck. Okay. Oh god. Okay. Number 17. They die within 72 hours of seeing her. I just can't get over the last one. You hear that? Don't you ever open that door. That's awesome. What a jerk. I think that would completely spur on prank wars. Completely. Big PP. Hey. Damn. ADD. SPC stupid cops pretend. Insomnia, the perfect comedy. All right. They die within 72 hours of seeing her. Little did they know it was just the friggin' pipes. Anyway, I work in an LTC facility, and within lies the legend of the little girl. Many people have seen her. Few have survived to tell about it. Quite a few residents have asked me, "Who's that little girl?" and pointed to her. Coincidentally, these people would be dead within 72 hours of seeing her. Turns out about 10 years ago, there was a fatal car accident in front of our LTC. The victim? A little girl, about 10 years old. Every time there's a story, a scary story, and it involves a little girl, all I can think of is the little girl, like the computer from Resident Evil, the little girl that the creator of the Hive, he used his daughter as an example. Every time there's a little girl in one of these stories, that's what I think of is that little girl. With the little English accent. You're all going to die. Cool story. No one asked. Huh? Okay. Anyway, we are on number 18, Maggie. A couple, retired military captain and his wife, Margaret, sold their house and moved to Florida. It so happens that they sold their house to the state. The state was going to use it as a residence home for mentally disabled teens. After the closing, but before they moved, Margaret died in the house, and the captain had to move because the house was already sold. You know where I'm going with this. Residents always referred to the old lady that they always saw. Nursing staff just referred to her as Maggie. Late at night, when the residents were asleep, if the staff put the TV on more adult programming like Red Shoe Diaries, the TV would turn off, and when turned back on, would be on a different channel. One nurse said it was like the house was out to get her. She'd swear that the carpet had tripped her. When cupboards opened, knives would fall out and aim at her. Turns out this nurse was eventually fired for abusing and stealing from the residents. I guess Margaret takes care of her children. Dun dun dun. That could actually be a basis for a movie right there. Yeah, how do you even make that font? The Queen. I need another drink. Hold on. Yeah, I'm sipping on this one. I realize I better sip on it a little bit slower. What was her name? I'm blanking. I'm thinking Samara from The Ring, and how she at least gave people a week to wrap up their lives and say goodbye. 72 hours is harsh. Her name, Gay. Who are you talking to, Big PP? Are you a bot? Are you a stupid bot? Are you here to be a rude wiener? Are you joking around? Explain yourself. Oh. Well. Ye? Guh? Big PP. I think little PP needs to go bye-bye. I know, bot. The Red Queen. Oh yeah, the Red Queen. You're all going to die. I don't have to. Big PP. Moron. Stupid idiot. GGG. Big PP. A throwaway account for a troll. Big PP wishes he had big PP. probably 11 years old maximum, or extremely idiotic. I'm 12. Ha 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 ha. I write it in green crayon. You have one last chance, Big PP. Should I say tiny little PP? To act decent or go bye-bye. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Anyways, number 19 is she died, but then came back. I work as a CNA in a long-term care facility. We had one resident, Betty, who was totally independent. All ADLs were done on her own, and she did just fine on her own. We never had an incident. The only time she wanted to help was with showers, and then only wanted you around to make sure she didn't slip and fall. Betty came down with pneumonia and had to be hospitalized. When she came back, she was too weak to do things on her own, but too stubborn to ask for help. The last thing the CNA told her before going to bed was, "If you want to get up, hit your call light, I'll come help you." Of course she didn't. Got rid of the bed alarm, climbed out of bed, and fell. And Betty died from the fall. No one was moved into bed C, Betty's bed, afterward. The following week, the call light for the room went off at night. Thinking it was the resident in bed B, I walked down to the room to see what she wanted. I walked into the room only to see the call light for bed B and A off, and the call light for bed C was on. My eyes filled with tears. I backed out of the room and made someone else turn the call light off. Oh, that one was sad. Okay. Well, I guess we gotta remove Big PP. Dun dun dun. Bye, dum dum. Yep. You guys let me know if you can still see him. I got rid of all of his messages, so. You were hidden by me. And next you will be blocked. Okay. Okay. Okay, anyway. I'm sure it was entertaining for a minute. I'm not sure why any kid would come here to listen to this. Like, if when I was a kid, I would have listened to this, but I'm also, and always have been, an avid reader. I like creepy stuff, so I'm not really sure why a kid would come here. I'm not gaming, so. Number 20 is called The Inspector. We have a gentleman that we call the Inspector. He appears at the end of the long hall. Our wings are L-shaped. He carries a clipboard in his hand. When he shows up, a resident usually dies in the next couple days. We've always had residents ring and tell us that there was a man standing next to their roommate's bed and that we should tell him to leave. No men on nights. The roommate usually dies soon after. And then there's the children. Several lucid residents have reported children in the halls at night. There's a children's home behind us, where the children have been abused in the past. Oh, well, that's not good. Man, this could go on for hours. I don't know how long I'll last. Rotten kids. Oh, Jesus. How is he still on here? Big, big gay. Not only is he. Oh my God. How is he still on here? How are you still on here? Little twit. Yeah, I don't know how he got back on there. It won't let me just block him either. I don't know how to. I'm sitting here listening, thinking the mortality rate of this hospital must be horrible. These are all different hospitals. And I think that LTC, like long term care, usually people are like making their way to the end of their life anyway. So, go pee the bed, pee pee. Oh, big pee pee. Everyone's got to have dreams. I don't want to crush someone's dream. Although, you know, I don't know. That's not really a dream that you can like work toward unless you have money for surgery. And I don't know anyone who's gotten that surgery, and I definitely would never recommend that kind of surgery. Anyway, um oh boy, I guess we'll know if he comes back. Anyway, let's not have anything else to do in quarantine. Go clean your room, you little brat. Go take the garbage out for your mom. Clean up the cereal bowls in the basement. I'm just guessing. But you probably have a couple of socks stuck to your bedroom floor. Ew. Anyways, number 21, she said Rex, and then I saw him. I was working a night shift job as an aide caring for a lady with terminal cancer on hospice at home, as I have for years. She was starting to slip, and I woke her family, 2 girls, and DH. I don't know what DH stands for. We were all sitting around. She was quiet and peaceful. And all of a sudden she looked toward the door and said, Rex, you're here for me. I'm ready and they won't let me go. I saw a shadowy figure come into the room and felt the creepiest evil spirit. I'm not normally spooked, but I was so glad when it was time for me to go home. I turned to watch this spirit and the family was looking at me like, what are you looking at? And the lady died later that day. A few months later, her daughter had been sick, just not well, not terminal. And they called my agency to see if I would come and stay with him at night for a few days until he was a little stronger. Okay, I'm confused. Daughter had been sick? Him? Okay. Anyway, I stayed 2 nights. All kinds of weird paranormal stuff in that house. Voices in rooms that were empty. Sound of people moving around when everyone was asleep. I decided I didn't care how sick he or she was, or how much that family liked me. I was not doing another shift there. I'm just going to take a wild stab in the dark here and say that maybe that nurse had a gift that she could see things that other people couldn't, because if they weren't hearing it, then all I know is I'm fixing to get a cup of tea and that's starting to sound better by the second. Would definitely never recommend that surgery. My mom used to say that brings back memories. Garbage out at 12 a.m. The hash slinging, the hash bringing. I probably shouldn't say it. I'm not Southern. My mom's parents were Southern, so she talked like they did. I'm somebody who, if I'm around somebody who's speaking with a Southern accent, that's how I'm going to talk the rest of the day. And I don't know why that is. Like if I moved to like Oklahoma or Alabama or something like that, I'd be one of those people that like, oh, she's already got an accent and she's only been living there for like 6 months. I'd probably have an accent after 6 hours because I don't know why that is. It just tends to come out of me. It's weird. Um, Number 22, Willie. Now, don't get your panties in a bunch. I don't think it's anything disgusting, but I haven't read it yet. All right, so a couple of stories from the unit. In bed 3, there was a homeless PT, Willie, who, thanks to modern medicine, was kept alive for, I believe, around 3 months. No family to stop care. Willie eventually died, but PTs who were in bed 3 will talk about their friend Willie, who brought them a blanket or stopped by to talk. Bed 3 is at the end of the unit and has an ante room before you go in. So you can't see directly in bed 3 unless you're in the room or looking at the room on the monitor. One night with no patient in bed 3, the monitor flips to the room and a body was seen laying over the side of the bed, kind of floating. The room was checked and no one was there. Another night, a nurse who was working on the unit a few years saw someone sitting in a chair behind the door in bed 3 with their legs crossed. She wondered, since we have limited visiting hours, how a family member got into the room. She went in the room and no one was there. Needless to say, she was freaked out. There was also another patient who was a young woman in her 20s who contracted necrotizing fasciitis, flesh-eating disease, from one of her kids who had strep. She was in the unit a while and eventually died. Yeah, I've never heard of anyone who got necrotizing fasciitis and lived. If you have, I want to know about it. It's just an endless battle of when they get it, they have endless surgeries until the surgeries won't help anymore. And lots and lots of things are removed trying to get rid of it, but it just doesn't go away. Anyway, one of the nurses coming to the next shift wanted to know why the patient was standing on the back side of the unit with her twin daughters holding their hands, wondering how she made such a miraculous recovery. She was informed that the patient had died earlier that day. Yikes. Whew. I work for the government. There are a lot of people with different accents coming and going at the office. Most people adapt to their surrounding to feel like they belong or implement themselves. Is that One-Eyed Willie? This is our time down here. This is our time. I just thought of the Goonies when you said that. I've lived in 9 states. My accents and natural speaking voice goes all over the place. Yeah. Willie had a one-eyed Willie. God. Yeah, somebody else said Goonies. Jake the One-Eyed Snake. A trouser snake. Good enough. Best song ever. Heard about that and it gets me worried. I try to keep every cut and wound extremely clean and protected until it's healed. So what's weird is about necrotizing fasciitis is how it randomly strikes like a person out of nowhere. It's really strange. There's no real like I'm going to guess that maybe somebody might have an underlying condition where it makes them more susceptible to it, because if it's from strep, that would mean that most people could get it, but it's so rare that the treatment for it is like, let's chop this off, and if that doesn't work, let's chop the next thing off. And that's basically how that goes. I'm not trying to be disgusting, but that's basically how that goes until there's nothing left that they can do for you, because so far I haven't known of anybody who makes it through that, and it's absolutely terrifying. No infection risk. Okay, everyone, you're safe to be around a tall 32 guy. He is not a risk to your health. Like diabetes. I don't know, because there's 2 different types of diabetes. One you get because you were not controlling your diet, and the other is something that you have absolutely no control over. Anything that makes someone have low immune. Good enough from early eyes. I'll have to look that up. I'm going to go to the next thing here. This is number... Should I read this one with an accent? Or with, like, my ethith or a T8th? The first patient to die? I don't want to make fun of someone else's speech impediment. I already have my own speech impediments. I don't know if you guys can catch it, but sometimes I cannot say my R's still. So now I'm going to overpronounce my R's. My whole face contorts just to make sure that I pronounce them correctly. Oh my God, why did I do that to myself? Anyway, the first patient to die. Shh, patient. Oh, now I sound like Caitlyn Jenner. The very small step-down unit I work in was having a nighttime staffing issue. I agreed to rotate to nights to help them out. Ew. It was a 4-bed, newly renovated unit, 3 a.m., and I was watching the monitors, listening to the patients snore. The pencil drawer slid open. I didn't think much of it since the hospital was on a very busy avenue, that it was caused by the vibrations of the traffic on the busy road. After sliding the drawer back several times, I decided if the drawer felt it needed to be open, so be it. Several minutes later, I heard a noise in the room, the patient's bathroom door opening and the sound of someone pushing an IV pool. Since I did not have a clear view of the bathroom, I just thought one of the staff members from the main floor had dashed in to wash their hands. I looked up from my monitor to see a patient we recently had in the unit, Mrs. G, an older woman who came in with an atypical chest pain, became septic due to gallbladder issues, and eventually expired in the unit. Although the hospital itself had been on this site for years, the unit was newly renovated, right down to tearing down walls and putting up new ones. I heard the patient's bathroom door open, and again the rattling of the IV pole and shuffling feet. I looked up and saw Mrs. G standing there in the middle of the floor, one hand pushing the IV pole and the other hand on top of the pump of the pole. She stopped walking, turned and waved, nodded her head, said everything was going to be okay, took a few steps, and disappeared. It was quite a sight to see. Shortly after that vision, one of the nurses from the floor came in to see if I needed anything. I told her no, I was okay. Asked her if she'd ever seen a ghost in the hospital. She looked at me, gasped, and said, "No, why?" So I explained to her what just happened. She said she would never step foot in that room again. Mrs. G was the first patient to die in that unit. She was well liked by all the staff, and my feeling was that she was watching over us. The day shift came in, and I told them my story. They weren't surprised. Through the years working at various hospitals, worked as a nurse extern my senior year in nursing school, and heard older nurses telling their stories about ghosts, I thought they were just burnt out. If they are not seen, their presence is felt. They leave an energy behind. I think that's true. I think the more traumatic the life or the death, that the more likely that's going to happen. But I'm back. I'm still here. It's a super cheesy 80s song. I thought you lower your immune. That's what I've heard. Oh, lower immune systems. I mean, when you get diabetes, it does lower your immune system. That's for sure. Yeah. You missed all the fun. All the fun. Let's not get carried away. It's not like I've been in here trying to make up alternate words for vaginas. There was a kid trolling here. Oh, yeah, you missed that, but you can go back and watch that in the chat. I mean, I would think a kid would have been much more, like, creative, or I think that kid was probably like 6 or 7, not 12. Psh, come on. He said he was 10. I think he was like 6, maybe 7 or 8. Oh no. Enormous brat. I think a lot of people who die don't know they're dead. You know, I've said that 5 times this week. I've literally said this exact sentence. Did I die and no one told me and I'm in hell now? I've said that at least 5 times this week. Literally. Yeah. Definitely. All right, let's go back to the stories. Dun, dun, dun. I don't know. Are these stories lame? Like, should I pick something else? Or you guys want me to continue with this one? I have a friend who's got diabetes. I can't help but say it like, what's that guy's name? Wilford Brimley? When he says diabetes. He's not on TV anymore, but he used to be on a lot. I have a friend who's got diabetes and has to take insulin, and she gets infections and illnesses so easily you almost can't even breathe on her for fear of getting her sick. It's ridiculous. Yeah, my dad had diabetes too, but he had it because of he was one of those people who didn't watch what they ate, and he developed it. And I mean, he got to a point at some point where he didn't have to take insulin, but then it didn't last very long because he got cancer. Like Ground Zero in New York is haunted as fuck. I really want to go to New York and experience that just because I'd like to feel that feeling. Maybe. I say that in theory, but I don't think I want, like, I'd live in a haunted house, but I don't find anything entertaining about an area where so many people had absolutely no choice that they had to die all at the same time. Like, I feel like that's marked and it should be sacred and no one should be walking on it. Like, it's an entertainment thing. Now, I'm sure many people go there to pay their respects, but it's still a form of entertainment. Like, I know that a lot of people might not understand this, but we like to watch the first 48. And I swear to God, every time you watch an episode, you will see like either a hand or a foot or part of a leg or arm of the victim who's deceased. And I find that so disrespectful because not only is it on TV, but can you imagine being one of their family members flipping through the channels and that's like you see that? It just seems like you should not, that just seems wrong on so many levels that you should never, ever, ever show one speck of that person just out of respect. You already are getting paid for this TV show. You already got everyone intrigued by the story. Showing that part of them, just, I have a hard time with that. Anyway, I feel the same way. Walking through a thick fog. I think I would walk around it and look at it, but I don't think I would step foot on it just because something in my inner core would tell me that's wrong to do that. It'd be like when I'm in a cemetery and you know how like you're walking to someone's headstone. I don't want to walk over someone's body. I will walk like behind the headstones or the sides. Obviously, there's no way to 100%, but I will not purposely walk over someone's gravesite. I feel like that's super disrespectful, but that's just my own personal thing there. I want to go to New York too, like for many reasons. Many, like I can't even count. I've always wanted to go there in the fall. I wanted to see plays there. I wanted to just like, I don't think I could ever afford to go on a shopping spree there, but hey, a girl can dream. I don't even know what I would buy. I'd probably go to Tiffany's. I want to see it. I want to go to Tiffany's. I want to go to a play. I want to go to Times Square. I want to see Ground Zero. And mainly just experience it. Cemeteries always make me think of my dad's dad joke. What's that, immunity? That's why he's not on TV anymore. Oh no. Our House. Holy crap, Immunity. I forgot about that show. It's so old. Oh my god. Wow. I'll have to figure that out. Why do most cemeteries have fences or gates around them? Why? I'm waiting for the punchline from Immunity's joke here. If you ever go to New York City, go to Little Italy. Isn't there like a place called Chinatown too? Go to Lower Manhattan. It's where all the goth shops are. I feel like it's just like Disney, or I feel like I'd have to go there for at least a week to experience as much stuff as I can, and then I still wouldn't see everything because people are dying to get in. Oh my god. But bump. And the food. So many food. And plus, there's lots of stuff open 24 hours, right? Like, I'm not sure if you know this, but like in at least my area, that's kind of a rare thing. McDonald's and Taco Bell are open 24 hours. And that's about it. Wow, the punchline is there. Hilarious. Oh, number 24. Oh, it just got interesting. The scene was a bloodbath. That's the title of number 24. So I was working my regular 7 to 7 night shift in a bone marrow transplant unit with one other nurse. We had 5 patients, and it was 3:30 a.m. My coworker had just come out of room 4, and I startled her as she came around the corner. She had been emptying a urinal when the bathroom door closed on her, which of course freaked her out, and she spilled urine all over herself. But I digress. She proceeded to tell me that there was a young gentleman who had been in that room who had died a rather gruesome death. Evidently, this man was slated to go home. But one night around 4 a.m., the nurses heard a thump, the sound of someone falling. They rushed into the room, and this man was in the bathroom, central line out, and blood everywhere. They coded him, but he died right there in the bathroom. And no one is sure why he pulled his line or what happened. But evidently the scene was a bloodbath. Horrible. Now here comes the scary part. A few weeks later, a sweet little old lady is in that room and asks the nurse if someone had died in there. The nurse explained that this is a hospital, and it was likely that someone could have died there. Well, the lady says, "I think a young guy died in here." The nurse asks why. The lady responds, "'Cause he's talking to me." I'm not making this up. This lady had a central line, triple lumen. The nurse goes in there later, and there is blood everywhere. One of her lines is cut. Not pulled out, but cut. There are no scissors in the room. And then the lady says, "He did it." Whoa. Now, I don't know. I always rate these on. Is that scary? I don't know. Literally 24/7. I can go out at 3 a.m., see a movie, enjoy a night out. Really? There's movie theaters open 24/7 too? Well, I mean, you can't do that right now, but like, that's amazing. Oh boy. My dad's raunchy dad joke about STP oil and later the band. Chicago pizza's really good. I miss carbs. I just want like a giant dinner roll with butter. My God. Carbs. Carbs, 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 carbs. Let's see here. Number 25. The nurse in the white uniform. I'm a South African nurse who is currently living and working in California. The weirdest thing that happened to me one night when I was working a night shift back in SA, I had a patient whom I thought was playing with his IV, causing me no end of headaches, as we've all experienced. I eventually confronted him after having to open the clamp for what seemed like the 100th time that night. He got irate with me and said that he had done no such thing, but blamed it on a young nurse in a white dress whom he said had fiddled repeatedly with it. I was confused because we wear specific uniforms in South Africa, and they were not white at this specific hospital. Needless to say, I was very irritated, and I think we both ended the conversation before feeling exacerbated. I didn't think about his story about the young nurse for several weeks, until one night I was dealing with a completely different room and a totally different patient. The call light rang and I went to answer it. The patient said he had a problem with one of my staff. Curious, I asked what. He said a young nurse in a white uniform was standing quietly in the doorway of the dark bathroom staring at him, and it was freaking him out. At this, my hair stood on end, but I reassured him that he must have been dreaming and checked the bathroom just to be sure. There was nothing there, but I will never forget it. Another instance, there was a patient who was terminally ill with liver cancer in a private room. I was working days, but the night shift people said they hated going into the room because something would blow on the back of their necks and shadows would move where shadows shouldn't be. The man was a Christian, as was his wife, and his wife said she saw this black presence descend above him and his breathing would become labored. She asked myself and a friend to pray for her, which we gladly did, being Christians ourselves. We anointed and blessed the room and prayed with the family and asked the Lord to seal the room. From that time on, the room was filled with peace and love, and the man breathed much easier. People had no more problems with going in there. This gentle little man eventually passed away, but it was in a place of peace and love. Weird. Everything good is a carb. Man, pizza crust, bread, macaroni and cheese, potatoes. Yum. That one was a little confusing, but let's see here. Number 26 isn't very long, but it's called Voodoo People. Night nurse for 4 years now at an old folks home. Had a palliative who couldn't sleep because of incredibly vivid hallucinations. She would describe voodoo people around her room that would just stare at her, waiting for her to die. I didn't take it seriously until the lady across the hall, who rarely ever spoke, started seeing them in her room too. Legitimate shivers. Ooh. Yeah, that would be scary. If it's just you and then patients just start saying something like that and you're like, where the hell is it coming from? Just burn sage and now you're safe. I feel like that the way that you said that immunity was this like a matter-of-fact statement? Just burn the sage and then you're safe. It's like, just put the ketchup next to the mustard on the hamburger, and there you go. Problem solved. I think that more often than not, when you burn the sage, if you're just dabbling at something, that you may exacerbate something and you don't know what you're dealing with, so do a little research first, just saying. Number 27 is the hissing cat. I work in a cardiovascular surgical ICU. We have a lot of fucked up people, both physically and mentally, that come through our unit. We had a stretch of nights where each corner room of our unit, which was a perfect square, reported seeing a cat walking around. Not a friendly cat either. Apparently, excuse me, the cat was hissing at them. Uh-oh, I started yawning. Let's see how much longer I last. The accounts were so similar to each other, we actually spent a half an hour looking around for a cat, then had security come look as well. No cat was ever seen or found, and 2 of the 4 patients coded the next day. Ooh. Kind of like the hellhounds, but it's a cat. Watched The Serpent and the Rainbow. I think I did, but it was so long ago that I can't remember. It belongs on a shirt or bumper sticker. Just burn the sage and now you're safe. And boom goes the dynamite. Oh my god. It didn't go to anything. I pushed this and then it didn't go to anything. Uh-oh. Refreshing the page. I might be stuck here. Wait. Something's wrong with the page. It's not loading correctly. Hold on. I'm going to go to the next one. Because we're only on, okay, 28. Common spirits. I work a stroke telemetry floor on the bot shift. Most of our patients are elderly. Apparently, there are 2 things that patients see before they pass away. Some will say that 2 men are walking in their rooms and telling them to get ready to leave. The patient will call and tell us that these men are big and abrasive in their demeanor. They are either terrified or annoyed when they see the 2 men. The other thing they see is a little boy who will go into the rooms and try to wake them up. The boy is usually loud and runs around their rooms. The patients will call and ask who's letting children just run around late at night. Several nights or even that same shift were coding or cleaning the patient for the funeral home to pick them up. Oh. It's time to wake up to die. I dated a Japanese girl in the past, and that was the only way she'd feel safe in any new place we lived. Burning sage since then has always stuck with me. No idea if it works. I think it's the same thing as holy water or a cross. I think it has to do with the beliefs of the person, although sage seems to be one of the universal things that all religions seem to use. So I don't know, I might put more weight in that than a lot of other things, just because it seems to be one of those common things that, you know, like everyone who makes bread uses wheat, or not wheat but flour, even if it's coconut flour, almond flour, or whatever. See what I'm getting? See where I'm going with this? I don't know. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. So I don't know. I think if it brings you peace, for sure, but there was like this misleading article that was saying that burning sage disinfects the disinfects or cleans the air or something like that. So I'm not 100% sure if that's true or not, but hey, that would be an awesome benefit if it was true. Especially right now, I have a completely unopened package of sage. I am prepared for evil and bacteria. Sage and Ouija boards for the win. No, Ouija boards are not allowed in my house. We've talked about this before. 29 is handprints. My town has 2 really old hospitals. One no longer functions as overnight, and the stories are unsettling. No one cleans the ER alone because all the lights and call bells go off. On other floor, there's a kid with this ball and a lady in a white dress. A coworker was cleaning an entire floor utterly solo, and bounced between rooms because the cleaning solution stays wet for a few minutes. Upon returning to a freshly wiped bed, handprints were clearly visible. Dun dun dun. I'd be like, it's clean enough. Burning sage stinks 100%. Yeah, no, they're not allowed in my house either, Gregory. Thumbs down. It's like one of those, it just reminded me of a political ad. So can you imagine if, oh, my dog's growling at the door wall, which she doesn't normally do. Huh, okay. I might have to go check it out in a minute. She doesn't normally growl like that unless someone's here or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, it freaked me out a little bit. She's Pennywise. Yeah, one of those unfortunate benefits of putting wood flooring in everywhere and not getting enough rugs. Click, 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 click. Like all hours of the night. Because I am a clown element. And because it was time to get weird. I hate clowns. Because I am Pennywise. Maybe. Pennywise. I feel like I said that wrong. Anyway. I'm going to read a couple more and then I'm probably going to fade out fast. My dog is still growling and it is freaking me out because she doesn't normally do that at night. She normally only does that when she can see something that's not supposed to be in our yard. Awesome. I'm glad we're not talking about skinwalkers because then I would be legit freaked out. Number 30. Please don't let me go back there. Not my personal story, but when my mom worked as an ER nurse, a guy came from a car accident and was losing blood. In the midst of resuscitation, the man jolts awake and screams, "Don't let me go back there, please. Please don't let me go back there." A few seconds later, they lost him. Oh man, that sucks. It sucks to know that someone was so scared right before they died. Number 31. Those things can't be explained. I worked midnights in a long-term care facility as a nurse's assistant. I have 2 men under my care, and both of them are unable to use their call lights. They have severe dementia and debilitating Parkinson's disease, but still their call lights are looped around their bed rail. One night their light came on and I went to answer it, already confused and creeped out. I turned it off and left the room. Before I could get 2 doors up, the light came on again. I went in there and both lights were unplugged from the wall and thrown under their beds. I fished them out, plugged them back in, and left. I've seen shadows standing over the dead and felt a tap on my shoulder while doing chest compressions, so I knew that lady had passed. I'm not a believer of some of those things that can't be explained. But some of those things can't be explained. Well, I really ruined the end of that story. You're welcome. I hate clowns because she's Pennywise. Oh, we don't have anything new here. Okay. I'll come back in a minute. Can't commentate on the commentary that was already there. Number 32. I'll leave the light on for you. It's another call light story, right? There's nothing like the patient grew an extra set of teeth and unhinged their jaw so they could try to swallow me whole. There's no stories like that. They have to exist somewhere. I was pulling a guard shift in the CHS on an FOB spiker on a night in Iraq. What? I'm lost. Anyway, there hadn't been any action for the entire previous week, so the staff was all racked out. I was walking the halls, and everything was supposed to be off or on standby. I walked past one room that they used for locals who were victims of trauma. The lights were on, so I toggled the switch down to turn them off. I started walking down the hall again, and I saw the lights come back on out of the corner of my eye. This is when I went into alert mode. Safety off at low ready. I cleared the corner and looked into the room. Nothing. I put the switch back on the down position again and went to call it up in the intercom. The radio was on the fritz. So I began walking back to the CQ desk to report it in person. The lights turned back on. At this point, I'm a little on edge. I can't radio in for help. There's nobody on this side of the compound that would hear me yell, and the light switch position keeps changing when the lights go back on. Keep in mind that I'm on a forward operating base in a combat zone. I don't know what I was expecting when I went to clear the corner and look into the room again, but I saw nothing but an empty room. A gurney, a heart monitor, and a crash cart. I couldn't tell you to this day why I said what I did, but I was worried that if I didn't, the lights would keep switching back on. So I said, "If you're scared of the dark, I'll leave the light on for you." I finished my shift and left the light on. I left a note with a desk that one of the surgeons had asked me to always leave that light on just in case they had an emergency come in. For the remainder of my shifts, oh God, that light had always remained on. Yeah, I'm going to start not being able to pronounce things correctly soon. My cat's nails click the floors too. I'll just burn sage and I'm safe. It's just just turn off the light and go to bed. That's how it sounds. That's how that works. You just burn sage and then you're safe. Boom goes the dynamite. That's because in native lore we don't speak of skin. It's how you invite them to come. Okay, so I know that Gregory, I think you're new. I mean, at least you weren't here when I did my Skinwalker stories. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that out loud. Anyways, I have to get to the point of this. So I'd done those stories, and I kid you not, that the next 3 nights after, my dog that is now one, I had 2 of them at the time, but they were looking at the windows that are up too high. We were hearing things all hours of the day and night. And I don't know if it was like a psychological thing or whatever, but I was freaked out, and my dogs were seeing and hearing things that they normally didn't for the next 3 days, and I was absolutely terrified. I've never been scared. I haven't read any of those since then. I just burn the sage and I'll be fine. Halloween on for you is a true Motel 6 horror story. Oh no. Oh no. Those stories seem fake to me. Imagine if we could put the dead to work. Larry, I don't care if you've been deceased for 100 years. I need you to wash the counter and check in on the clients and bellhop tonight. Do you live in the middle of nowhere? No, I don't. And that's even creepier because, well, there is like an empty lot behind us. And it's not empty, but I mean, it's woods. And so, yeah, I have houses on each side of me and across the street. But directly behind me is woods. And I don't know, I was freaked out during the day though too. It was like all hours of the day and night where it seemed like we were hearing weird noises. My dogs were barking in the middle of the night all hours of the night. They normally only do that if someone comes to the door that they don't know or comes in the driveway. Um, and we're not talking about tiny dogs here. We're talking about loud, aggressive barking. So I have never sought out those stories again. Maybe that's why. I know that some channels were kind of like built on it. Um, but no, I don't. I know, right? Like, if you're going to be haunting here, could you please fold the laundry or at least switch the laundry, like the stuff in the washer to the dryer? Because I forget it all the time. I mean, I maybe it's just me, but I feel like all laundry should be on the same level where you mainly live because I forget all the time. I'll be like, oh my God, I totally forgot about that laundry. I have to rewash it. If you take nothing else from this live stream, take this. Just burn sage and now you're safe. Also, I still want to know what number 6 is on everyone's McDonald's menu where you live. Tomorrow I'm going to go to McDonald's just so I can see what's number 6 on our menu. Because I think they're all different. It depends on like the local franchise or whatever, but just burn sage and now you're safe. It just reminds me of something and I cannot think of it. Just burn the sage and now you're safe. It's like instructions to a game. Do not pass go. Go directly to jail. Collect $200. Just burn the sage and now you're safe. Like when you're a little kid and you're playing tag and the porch is safe. Just burn the sage and then you're safe. I don't know why that's so funny. Maybe oh my God, the Schmeister made it. Isn't it like 5 o'clock in the morning where you live, man? Crispy chicken sandwich meal. It's like Midnight Man game. You just burn the sage and now you're safe. I think I did the Midnight Man, but it was like in 2016. Some of those I need to redo because it's like when I was first learning my cadence and some of them are really, really bad. But it's so bad that it might be kind of funny. I can't stand to listen to most of my readings anyway, but so funny. Well, we're probably wrapping this up now because I've been streaming for 2 hours. Is it 2 hours now? Yeah, 2 hours. We started 2 hours ago. Somebody gave me the thumbs down. It was probably Big Pepe. We had a child in our chat who was harassing everyone. I don't even think he was harassing. He wasn't even witty enough to harass everyone. He would just be like, so stupid. I don't know. So he missed that. It's going. But just so you know, if you're ever in danger, just burn sage and then you're safe. That's the whole takeaway of tonight's live stream. Just burn sage and then you're safe. So like, did you get a bead sting? Burn sage and then you're safe. Did you forget that you had an outstanding bill? Just burn the sage and then you're safe. I don't know. There's so many things that can apply for. Yep, it's bedtime. The evil revenge stories. Shall I fetch the crossbow? Always fetch the crossbow. That's a standard. Now, if you could combine the sage with a crossbow, boom, boom, all the world's problems are solved. And if we can get it going at the speed of light and circle around the planet, world peace. Wow. Man, my first 20 or so narrations are so funny to hear back because of all the cadence. Yeah, like there's many of them I want to redo. That just suck really bad. Plus, the bonus is that some of them have less than 100 views, so no one will even notice that I've done them before. I mean, maybe, but most of the people that listen to those don't even listen to my stuff anymore, so it doesn't matter. And you just burn the sage, and now you're safe. Okay. I'm losing my voice and my mind, so I'm going to wrap it up and say thank you for you guys coming and listening and entertaining me, and I hope it was vice versa for you. Um yeah, my voice sounds fantastic now. Awesome. And if you just burn the sage and now you're safe. I just love that. I feel like you got that from somewhere and I can't figure out where, but it's hilarious either way. But immunity, you're pretty funny anyway, so most of the people that come here, sage oil extract baked into the arrow tips. Problem solved. You get just like one hemisphere lined up with people with arrows to shoot sage arrows at the speed of light to go around the planet simultaneously. Not only does the sage like purify the air at the same time, but then the force creates world peace. So we've got world peace, and we have disease control, and probably climate change if you have that kind of a force going around the planet from pole to pole at the same time. So everything would be solved at the same time. Let me know if you want to do any voice work on my next album. Okay. I'm not really sure how to get a hold of you, Gregory. Oh, are you someone that sent me that message on Facebook? I'm thinking that you are. I don't know. I can't piece things together now. It's the end of the day and I am exhausted. But I want to thank you guys all for coming. And I hope you were at least a little entertained. I don't think the stories were that scary though. I mean, I think it'd be much scarier to be in those situations than to actually listen to them back. So hopefully next time I find much more terrifying stories. On my next agenda is 12 urban legends, or not 12, but it was like 8 urban legends from Ohio. But the video it won't be very long. Like I think it was only like 20 minutes, and I think you guys prefer longer stuff. So I'll have to come up with something else. But oh, see, Elements like do urban legend stories next time. Some of them are just kind of lame, but oh yeah, okay, Gregory, yep. Okay, Sage Brownings with Sage Tea, brought to you by Sage Travel with the motto just burn sage, and now you're safe. Okay. All right, thanks for coming, everybody. Stay safe. Hopefully, we will be doing a live stream on Saturday because you guys said you prefer them. So maybe we'll do live read urban legends thanks to Element's suggestion. Dun dun dun. And all right, and so until next time, I'm gonna say thanks for coming, and this is how we say bye here. So stay awesome, and now burn the sage, and now you're safe, and bye, 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 bye. And I have to figure out how to turn this off. Bye.